light up the earth, you light up my life. You're the only one.
Hello. Hi.
So bright. And just yesterday, you came around my way.
Hi, Hubble, rejuvenate.
With your astonishing beauty, oh, you couldn't make a brother sing. No ordinary thing, a supernatural being. And no, you are right of my dreams. You take me where I never been. You make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Hey.
You are my African queen.
Yesterday was fire, sir. Ashley, it's been a while. How you doing? Toy. Just a bit of music whilst we wait for people to join up. Hi, MEC. I hope you had a good day. I hope we're all keeping safe. Baylo, you're welcome again.
You stand as one, they are standing one. I look into your eyes, and what I see is paradise. Hey, you captivated my soul.
Enjoy the music whilst we wait.
I cannot deny this feeling I'm feeling inside. Hey, no one cannot take your place. You cannot take your space. It's a fact I cannot erase. And no, you are the one that makes me smile. Make me float like a boat upon the Nile.
Hi, Toppy. PB, I see you. Talk, man. I sight you. How you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am? Hey, my Jack Cuisine. They don't know what's gonna hit them on Saturday. Enjoy the music whilst we wait for. Trust y'all are keeping safe. Trust your day has been good. For those of you working from home, I guess you had a good day.
You are my African queen, and I know, oh yes I know. You are my African.
For those of you who remember this song.
See I know what I am feeling in my heart and in my soul. Oh, I know that it's this love, and I know that this
IBK, I see you. You're welcome. Victoria.
You are my African queen, and I know that it means that you're the only one that
oh yeah. Remy Benson, I sight you. You're welcome, sir.
Every other thing you think of, in a man who could think anything better than you. Who could think of ever?
No, the African queen. Eve's the light, you're welcome. Ade Shoti. I see you, sir. Alright, we've got 3 more minutes. We're waiting for people to join and we're crack on. In the meantime, it'll be great to get some feedback from anything for the boys, everything. I remain loyal, sir. Remy Benson, I see you.
I love you. I love you. Munyemo, I love you. I love you. I love you. Munyemo, I love you. I love you.
It's the light. Good evening.
Oh, yeah. My African queen. I love you. I love you.
Someone is asking me, Mr. AD, I can see you. Somebody's asking me why am I playing the song. You'll know in a minute. I just thought we should go back in the day. You're welcome, sir. I see you, Mr. ID. Trust you had a good day. Zewa Cakes, I see you. Thanks for joining up. Trust you had a good day. Sandra, you're welcome. Alright, let's do a bit of groove for 1 more minute and we go. Normally we hit the number 20 mark. We're at number 11 now.
All that she wanted was a man that sees the light and says she's a fool. for being uptight. When all that she wants is good love, no be fight. Special kind of girl, hard to come by.
Trust you guys had a good day. It'll be good to get some feedback from you guys on how the sessions have been going. It'll be great to get some feedback. So if you can just type whatever you've thought of the session, just type it in the comment box as we crack on in a minute. You're welcome, Charlie. I see you. T_NA7958. You're welcome. Yesterday's session was brilliant and inspiring. Thanks, Victoria. Thank you. Okay, thumbs up from Zewa Cakes. Remy Benson, I see you. Fantastic, fantastic. Please keep the feedback coming. We're taking both positive and constructive feedback. We hope to make this better by the day. All right. I'm going to pause my radio DJ career to face this. All right, peeps. Somebody was asking me why I came in. The intro song was the African Queen. It's kind of very related to what's about to go down this evening. Once again, good evening. My name is Lord Bionic. Thank you for taking 1 hour of your time off Netflix and choosing to look at my very ugly face for the next 1 hour. It means a lot for you guys turning up all the time. Please click on the share button. That's that small arrow on the bottom right of your screen. Let's share. Let's share. We never know who will need what we're about to discuss today. So please share amongst your network and let's get this going. We're number 16 now. We'll be hitting the number 20 and then we'll go. So I want to welcome you again. Thank you for turning up to this session. Today we're going to be having a true African queen, and hence why we're having the song. So another lady Amazon is gracing our guest sit this evening to tell us about their hustle story. Y'all know how we do. This is the avenue where we speak about the work in progress stories. We're not all about celebrity, neither are we all about popularity. Whilst there's nothing wrong with those two, we also believe that there's a lot you can learn from the ongoing experience of people who are putting their head down and one day at a time trying to be the best versions of themselves and pushing their destinies, pushing their passion, pushing their profession, and doing everything to make an impact, positive impact in the lives of everyone that come about. Those to us are the hustle heroes. And they might not have capes, they might not have caps, they might not have names on Instagram, or they might not have 1 million followers. But you know what? If it's just one person that will listen to this today and be sure that, you know what, the sun will shine again, regardless of what I'm going through now, then we've all done a good job. So with no much further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we've hit the number 20. Join me as I welcome the guest for today, the true African queen, Victoria. Drum roll, guys, if you can hit it, as I welcome for today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's connecting. Hopefully I'm not going to do that.
Hey everyone. How are you doing?
Oh my
Fantastic.
God. You are not only you're slaying all the way. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Bear with me 1 minute. I should have been a bit more prepared. But yeah.
So good.
Fantastic. Can you hear me?
So, lady, yes, I can hear you. So, before you came online, we were singing the African Queen, and someone said, "Are you singing to your wife?" I said, "No, it's only in line with our guest today, and you are the true African Queen, and we're privileged to have you on our sit."
Thank you.
Yeah, I trust you've had a good day. You're not only hustling, you're slaying alongside your hustle. I don't know how you do it, but
we're trying.
All right,
We're trying.
So let's get into it if that's okay. So, ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, I introduce to you Victoria Babatunde, born in London, as you can see. Moved back to Nigeria, spent a couple of years, formative growing years in Nigeria. She was grown by her very lovely dad. She is a VP, Vice President, Risk Management in one of the top banks in the UK. I would not mention because they haven't paid for publicity.
Yeah, you're not allowed
Um,
then.
I'm not, all right. So she sits as the vice president in the risk management side of things within the bank she works in. She's a mentor, she's a coach, she's a singer, songwriter. She's an award-winning independent gospel artist. She has her hands in humanitarian things, CSR, corporate social responsibility. She also, together with another gentleman, runs an orphanage where they're reaching out to young people. With the COVID-19, I see you've added a bit of a cap as a homeschool teacher, a chef, a baker,
Yeah.
and we can go on and on. So I think that, do you want to say hi to everyone and then we'll start from there?
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining.
All
Looking
right.
forward to this.
Fantastic. So, having run through that very long resume, my first question, normally it'll be what's your hustle story, but my first question, which is a one-line answer, how do you manage all of that, all of those caps? How
God.
do you manage it on a day-to-day basis?
The grace of God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the only way I see it happening on
Oh,
a daily basis. Yeah.
all right. So let's get to it. Victoria, what exactly is your hustle story?
What's my hustle story?
Just take us in.
Okay. So as Lord Bionic said before, I was born in Nigeria. So my dad he was a traveler. He used to work for the BBC as a photographer. So he worked on lots of documentaries. So he's always traveling. So you can imagine in the 80s, a lot of people were kind of like nomads moving around.
Yeah.
So my siblings and I were in Nigeria. He was abroad. And I think it was fine the first few years, but then just after my mum had my brother, she fell ill. So
Okay.
she was ill for quite a while. She was ill for like a good 2 years plus. And at
Wow.
that time, it wasn't possible, I guess, for her. So our care was essentially kind of given to someone else. And there was an element of neglect. So basically, by the time we came back to the UK in 1987, we were like suffering from starvation and things like that by the time we came back. So it was a bit of a weird transition coming back to the UK, and it was freezing cold. It was like a week before my 6th birthday. And that's how it kind of started. And November that year, my mum actually passed. So my
Wow.
dad had 5 children, single parent. So I think
Wow.
it knocked him for six because he was, he had his career, he had things that he was doing, and yeah, it kind of pulled the rug from underneath us. But then at the same time, we had the suburban life. So we lived in East London, in Hackney, in Stoke Newington, in Hackney, which back then was still a decent, side of Hackney, and we were okay. But like then a few years later, there was the first crash that not a lot of people talk about. It seems like every 10 years there's some kind of financial something, but there
Yeah.
was a crash there. At one point, mortgage interest rates were in the teens,
Yeah.
and we actually lost our home and we were made homeless.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I spent part of my teenage years was spent in like temporary accommodation.
Wow.
Then we got housed, and then where we were housed, it's not somewhere that I was, you're not used to growing up in that kind of
Yeah.
environment, but you just have to keep persevering. So I just found that every time it came to pivotal points, so whether it's going to secondary school, something will happen. So while I was in secondary school, my dad married again, and 8 weeks later, his wife passed away.
Wow.
So, and then we lost our home, and then he got married again, and we didn't really get on. So it was a bit like, oh, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
hard. So mentally, I had this thing about attachment. So, but I'll touch on that later on.
Okay.
So, we got housed. I went to university. I've always worked. So my first job was a newspaper round. So I used
Okay.
to be so scared of the dogs, but it was all about that money. So I did newspaper rounds. There was always this dog that was like probably 7 foot tall, and every time I'm getting to that part, my heart rate is like speeding up. So I did newspaper round at age 14. I did Zetta's pool. So back in the days before technology, gambling was done via post.
Okay.
So they used to send like we were packaging the stuff in the envelopes. This was like Saturday, a Saturday job. So basically, from the moment just before I got my NI till now, I've always worked. The only time I haven't worked, I think, is when I was on maternity leave. But to be honest, that is another job in itself. So I've just
Okay.
always had this work ethic.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to ask you a bit, and as they say, faces and what we put up will be very deceptive about it. Not deceptive, might not represent our journey as
Yeah.
in terms of, because I could look at you straight and say that you look like you've got it all. You've always got it all together, and life has been good to you. And then I cannot relate, but your story alone, your intro alone, I could sit there for the next 1 hour. But my question is, whilst you went home, at what age? At that age, going homeless and losing your mom and all of that happening, how did you keep yourself? How did you keep yourself mentally? How
Music.
wow.
Music. It was music. When my dad, so the hustle life, it's genetic as well. So my dad has done so many different jobs. And one of the jobs he used to do is he used to actually clean in record company. Can't even remember. I think it's Tower Records or something. So he always used to bring home these vinyls, and we had a vinyl player. So from
Okay.
Marvin Gaye, Nina Simone, Aretha Franklin. So I'd be listening to those songs growing up. So it was an avenue, and then also I think things like the big occasions. I think to compensate where maybe we didn't have, he would he would take us out for our Christmas shopping. So we always had these occasions that we could look forward to,
Okay.
and to make things a bit better. So yeah, so that drive, that wanting to do better, I think it's always been in me. So the music definitely helped. Music definitely helped.
Yeah, because again, sorry that I'm just so hung up in this, because I think there's a lot we can drive out of
Yeah.
this. We never know who's listening and what people are going through or not
Hmm.
going through at the moment. At that age in London, Nigeria kind of have a very cultured society and all of that. But in
Hmm.
London, where you're doing newspaper rounds, you're doing gambling, you're
I
doing that
wasn't
gambling. Oh,
gambling.
I know.
I
You
was
were the.
only 13 or 14.
I know. You were doing postings. Let's put
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in that
No,
postings.
literally paper, envelope, put it in, seal.
Yeah.
Paper, envelope,
Oh,
like
okay.
literally.
You must have made some people happy, But
I
go, But going into it, I'm just thinking, because in London you could have taken different exits.
Yeah.
Drugs. You could have gone, and you know what? Nobody would have blamed you that much, because at
Hmm.
that age of what you were going through. So, what kept you on the straight and narrow?
I'm very observant. So some people have told me I'm quite aloof when they first meet me. That's because I've got this wall that's around me. So
Yeah.
unless I trust you, you're not going to get behind that wall. And if I trust you and you let me down, the wall goes back up and you have to earn that trust again. So for me, I was always watchful. So I learned from adults' mistakes. I learned from the mistakes of those that are just a bit older than me. And then I think also because of all the curveballs that had come at me throughout life, I think I was a lot more mature for my age. So I hung out with people that were a bit older, and sometimes I'd
Okay.
see what they do, and I'm like, why would you do that? Like, it just makes no sense. And it'd be like, point, never do that. And then also from losing the home and stuff, I was just like, one thing I said, never, I'm gonna own my own home. I'm gonna own it outright.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there are a lot of rules that I had in the back of my mind that I had to like tell my husband that, like I got some lists that have to be met.
Wow. Wow. It's
Yeah.
a lot of these stories about being made homeless, a lot of it comes on social media. We read it,
Mm,
we kind of hear it, but
yeah.
sometimes it never comes home until someone who's gone through that.
Yeah.
And how then did you then combine being astute with education,
Mm.
plus all of those things you were doing at that age? Because I'm guessing you must get to bed very tired every day. So how did you manage all of that?
To be honest, I'm kind of like an all or nothing person. I'm either 100 or zero. So it was a case of how do I break this cycle and culturally go to school, get a
Yeah.
degree, da da da. So, and then as I said, I had older cousins, and they were maybe like 5 years ahead of me, and they'd graduated, and she was working for Shell and Texaco. So she's like she's like the cousin that you're constantly going to their house. You're like, oh my god, and she'll open her wardrobe. You're like, the dream. And how do you achieve this dream? And thank God, because imagine if I had older influences that were just partying, and she did
Yeah.
party, and I
Hmm.
went places with her that I was like, am I supposed to be here? But they had their head really firmly on their necks, and they decided that, you know what, you need to do A, B, C, and D. And if you do that, you can have this. Because one thing that I don't play with is peace of mind.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't play with peace of mind.
Hmm.
Um, I whatever I do, have to be able to sleep at night when I do it.
Hmm. Fantastic, fantastic. So, where did I'm sure all of that. Where did it begin to come together for you? Where would you have a pivotal moment you could actually remember and say, "This is when life began to come together for you for good"? You know.
To be honest, it's been incremental. There wasn't a one moment. I found that whenever an opportunity came my way, I grabbed and I ran with it. So, like the jobs that I've had, going from paper round to
Yeah.
working, that I've worked for like the biggest US firm. I was there for like a decade. I navigated through the firm, got promoted. And it's not because, oh, I had, you know, a role model within my immediate space. So in my
Yeah.
family, I was the first to graduate. The
Wow.
first, yeah. So it was kind of my dad. In my siblings, I was the first to graduate. My dad did photography and everything, but
Okay.
there wasn't anyone really ahead of me in my immediate
Yeah.
family, in my home, that I could say, "Oh, sis." But then I had certain cousins who had positive influences, but then at the same time, there were others that had negative influences that actually knocked and chipped my confidence. But that's why I would say there was never a eureka moment. It was
Okay.
very incremental. So getting the first job within banking. So I've always worked. So while in university, I was full-time university. And then I was working part-time. And then because, as I said, I'm very observant. So I think I have emotional intelligence. I could be boiling and you might see it in my eyes, but I will not say anything because words are eggs. Once you say it, you cannot take it back.
Yeah.
So I always got on with my bosses, and that's so important in your career because the only person who's going to champion you to the people who can champion you
Yeah.
that have a seat at the table is your boss. If you don't get on with your boss, you either need to fix it or move on because that is the
Yeah.
person that is going to be shouting your name out wherever you are. So I found that even while I was in university, whenever we'd go on holidays, so throughout the whole of summer, Christmas holidays, Easter holidays, my boss would literally be like, "Oh, do you want to go full time?" So it was so unheard of. So during the holidays, I'd be full time working in banking and then university part time. And it
Wow.
was just a great stepping stone. I made a lot of mistakes financially, and thank God for the financial job because, man, I dug some holes, man. I don't, only God got me out of those holes.
All right, cool. So, whilst I'm tempted to touch in those holes, if
Yeah.
you can, because I also believe that the mistakes you've made are experiences for you now. And then
Hmm.
somebody else can also, just like you were saying, that you look up to other people and watch their mistakes and
Yeah.
make sure you don't make the same
Yeah.
mistakes. So that's great. But let's just touch on your corporate self.
Yeah.
You know, so you've gone from paper rounds to being a vice president in a top three bank, if not top two, and across your career, the big companies you've worked for.
Hmm.
Um, what has been your survival strategy in those places? Because, depending on how you approach it or how you got there,
Yeah.
we know your drive has gotten you there, but what has kept you this past
Um,
years?
I'm always looking at the horizon, and I always try and understand what's happening in the industry, and I try and future proof my skills. So originally, when I started in banking, I started right at the bottom, as in I was a teller in the branch. And
Wow.
then, so while I was in university, I was a teller in a branch. As soon as I graduated, a role came up with a really big US firm. And at that time, I just met my now husband as well. And I had the safety net of being 4 years with the same firm. And it was like, oh, should I just stay? Is it safe? But a conviction was like, something just convicted me that no, like, get out there, take that risk. But everyone was like, who's that? Like, they don't even have a branch network. What kind of bank? Bank in the bank sense of things. But it was wholesale
Yeah.
banking, and it was all brand new to me. So I made the lateral move. And that's one thing that I would advise people to do. Don't be afraid of making a lateral move. You don't always have to go for a promotion.
Yeah.
But I saw the opportunity because, funny enough, I think I went up, my salary went up by about 50%, even though it was a lateral move.
Yeah.
So don't look down on opportunities that might seem like, oh, I have to get a promotion. If the promotion
Yeah.
comes, fantastic. But sometimes there's a hidden opportunity in there. So I moved
Yeah.
over. I was a teller. Within 18 months, I was managing the office in Strand. And then I kind of thought, oh, I've done this for like how many years now? Now I want to work with clients. And then I just applied for a job internally. So I'm always the kind of person that I'm constantly looking for opportunities. I will apply. So you might see on my CV, I'm with the same firm.
Yeah.
But by the time I left that US firm, 10 years later, I'd done 4 roles.
Wow.
And with each role, there was promotion, there was pay
Yeah.
increase. I would move laterally and I still get a pay increase. And people didn't quite understand that. And it's because I always negotiate. If you don't ask, you don't get. And then
Absolutely.
also you need to understand your worth. You need to do your research. So even if you're applying internally, you look at what the job, an equivalent job looks like externally,
Yeah.
and then you apply. And then if you're offered the job, you say, oh, by the way, based on this research and that role and this company
Yeah.
doing certain things, and I actually think I'm doing this and this and this, which actually isn't here, and this is the band for the the pay. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we don't normally do internal move uplifts. I'm like, there's an exception. No, every rule has an exception. So I try to make
Absolutely.
sure I'm the exception. Yeah,
Fantastic. So,
yeah,
just before we leave your corporate side into
yeah.
the other facets of your wonderful life, what would you say has been your lowest moment corporately? Or
Oh,
what lessons? Yeah, just so
yeah,
you never know. A lot of people are still trying to climb that ladder. So let's
yeah,
let them into it. Then we'll go back to your
yeah,
financial holes you were talking about
yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
I had a psycho boss. But it was really funny because the reason why I use the word psycho is because she's smiling at you and literally stabbing in your face, forgetting your back. Um, but it was about politicking, and it sounds really bad. And if you're Christian, it's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to play the games.
Yeah.
However, if you think about it strategically, there are players
Yeah.
And she also had a political agenda, which was